Peggy 18.
How's going on here? Them kids. That's why we're implementing a new rating system.
It's perfect! Ah, the rating system. What would I do without you? Age rating in video games is an essential thing in our lives. Before considering buying a game, you first should check the age rating that game has. PEGI, ESRB, Zero, whatever. There's thousands of different rating systems. I never cared for these. They were more useless garbage on the game's box art if anything. If it's PEGI 18, who cares? I really want to play Doom 2016. I don't know a single person that takes this seriously. Well, sure, it gives you an idea of the game's content, but come on, it's not gonna stop you from playing the game. The rating system has existed since time itself. 1994. In 1992, Mortal Kombat released in arcades and later on home consoles. The SNES and the Sega Genesis versions were hyped before launch and that made many people buy them. And we know how Mortal Kombat is, an extremely gory and violent fighting game that shouldn't be played by little kids. Well, I can't say much myself, I started playing Mortal Kombat games since I was like 7. The SNES version of Mortal Kombat was censored and removed the blood, and the Genesis version did the same. The SNES had better graphics, but the Genesis version was more popular because there was a secret code that would let you play with blood. This did not suit parents, and Mortal Kombat was criticized by such. Around this time, Sega launched the Sega CD add-on for the Genesis, and Night Trap released at launch. It's an interactive game where you control the cameras of a house and try to get rid of kidnappers that want to kidnap some random girls. Pretty simple game and accessible to everyone, except it wasn't. Some scenes were alarming to some parents and the government, so they took it to court. On December 1993 and March 1994, we got 2 congressional hearings about violence in video games. Alongside Lethal Enforcer and Doom, Night Trap and Mortal Kombat were the most criticized games from this hearing. These were fun. You had Nintendo's representative Howard Lincoln completely demolishing Sega and bashing as Night Trap as a completely unheard of thing.
And let me say that for the record, I want to state that Night Trap will never appear on a Nintendo system.
They also criticized the blue gun from Lethal Enforcer and the SNES's Super Scope, which were questionable claims. We've seen worse. But hey, this made sense. I think video games were evolved without a proper rating system, and that's why the ESRB was created. The Entertainment Software Rating Board, also known as the ESRB, is the American rating system for games. It's similar to the MPAA for movies. We have 7 ratings. First off, we have early childhood. This one is rarely used. According to the ESRB, it doesn't even exist anymore. This one was regularly used on educational PC games, Sesame Street games, Rayman educational games, all that. E for Everyone is possibly the most common rating from the ESRB. We used to have Kids to Adults, but it then ceased to exist around 2003. E for Everyone is just that, games that are for everyone. Mario Kart, Pokemon, generally all licensed games have this one. E10 Plus released in 2005 with the launch of Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. Yep, we got this rating because of Donkey Kong. There is not much difference between E for Everyone and E10 Plus, but we have some games that fall in this category: Smash Bros, Sonic games, Ratchet & Clank, Breath of the Wild. T14 is getting rare reach date passes: Fortnite, Shrek for the original Xbox, Sims, Super Smash Bros Brawl, Incredibles the game based on the Pixar movie. Mature is more violent games and games for an older audience: God of War, Dead Space, Resident Evil, Mortal Kombat, Doom, all that stuff. But then we have the scariest rating of them all, Adults Only, the most hardcore rating of all time. Only a few games have this rating and not many are sold. Well, that's because most of them are porn. Manhunt 2, Leisure Suit Larry, Lula 3D, and even Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Yeah, originally GTA San Andreas was gonna be rated AO because there was some sexual content found on the game's files. But later on, with newer versions of the game, they removed it and the game got M-rated. AO versions of the game are rare nowadays, but they're neat things to have. Not many physical games have that rating, so it must be a surprise walking to a store and finding that spanked at the game's box art. But the ESRB is not the only rating system. Let's move over to Europe, and we have the Pan-European Gaming Information, or PEGI for short, a more simpler rating system than the ESRB. We have PEGI 3, 7, 12, 16 and 18. And in Portugal, and Portugal only, we got the 4 and 6 rating, but they were retired in 2018. They're self-explanatory and better than the ESRB. However, we don't have nothing similar to the AO rating, we only go to the 18 rating, and almost every game has that one. And in Japan we have 0. It's similar to the ESRB, we have 5 ratings. A for all ages, B for 12 and above, C for 15 and above, D for more mature audiences, and Z is the absolute worst one. It's the equivalent to the AO rating from the ESRB. It's an interesting rating system, it works well. Better than the ESRB. We have tons of other rating systems that we could also take a look at, but I have a life so I'm not doing it. The rating system can be dumb sometimes, for example, Smash Bros, Melee and Brawl got a T rating. What? I get why Melee got a T rating, but Brawl? At the time of Brawl's release we already got T10+. Why not use it? Then there's Shrek and Incredibles the game where it got the same saying, and that's just ridiculous. Donkey Konga 2 got a T14 rating. How does that make any sense? Kingdom Hearts got an E for everyone rating. Hey, that's a win. It doesn't make sense, we could have easily gotten the T rating, but you got an E. That's just wonderful. And even Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3 got an E10+ rating, that's awesome. Halo Combat Evolved got a T. That's debatable, but sure. Unfortunately, or fortunately, that was only when the game came out in some early versions. They later changed it with the M rating. The rating system sucks, there's no denying that, but it's necessary. Without any rating system, the world would be in a completely different place, and video games as well. We need rating systems, it's absolutely necessary to have it. But we have to agree that the ESRB's success.
Their decisions are absolutely insane, so I decided to create a campaign against the ESRB and start a war with them. Check this out.
Let the kids play, 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 let the kids play.